bringing these teams to the Atlanta Regionals in, what, 3 weeks?
It's like about 2-3 weeks. I'd say a little less than 2 weeks.
But pretty soon. So these players are going to be bringing their teams. They've shown them off. They've given them their test runs. And we can clearly see both of these players and their teams are just about ready to hit the big leagues. There might be some minor adaptations after today, some minor adjustments, depending on how the players felt their runs went. But overall, we've got some very good teams that have proven a huge menace and to be very adaptable as well. Again, we've got that Jonathan with his Shadow Rider. He went 0-2 against 2 different Ice Riders and then went 2-0 and 2-1 against those same players with the same team. So again, these are very talented players and very good teams. So we'll be looking for those at Atlanta. I know I'll be very excited to see how far these players get on the world stage.
Absolutely. These players are doing everything they can. They've built such amazing teams, and they are going to go the distance with them, especially after today. I can tell that these 2 players have made great teams, and they are going to go do very well from here on out, whether it's Atlanta or especially in a couple weeks or next month in May is when we start off with the next regulation. We don't know what it will be, but we know that they're going to be able to bring something really good to the table.
We see both of our competitors are preparing their teams. We see one more time, we've got that Calyrex Ice Rider and that Calyrex Shadow Rider. It is just more horses. No matter where you look, there are hooves and lances and astral whatevers flying hither and thither. But we've also got, again, pretty diverse teams overall. They both got that Urshifu. But aside from that, but they're not even the same Urshifu. One is Single Strike and one is Rapid Strike. These players have completely different teams. Yes, they're both Calyrex, but they're completely different Calyrexes. Again, we've got that Calyrex Ice Rider with that close combat and that Decorate boost. We've got all that redirection from Smeargle's Follow Me, Edie's Follow Me. We've got those huge offensive threats in those Sun-boosted Eruption, Voice Specs, those Thunderclaps, and those Draco Meteors from the Raging Bolt, and those Wicked Blows and close combats from
Adrian's feeling pretty confident with this final match right now. I mean, I'm seeing it right now. He wants to go for Trick Room. He has a bigger advantage with going for Trick Room as his more slow team and really adapt to that and dish out major damage. He also has Torkoal there who can do a lot of damage without having to worry about any change in the weather.
Exactly. The one thing to look out for, we've seen that Adrian does a lot of switching back and forth, right? A lot of getting that Psychic Terrain up, a lot of getting that weather up, a lot of getting Smeargle out of bad situation. One thing we've not seen from Jonathan yet is that Weezing with its Poison Gas and its Toxic Spikes. If Jonathan does bring that Weezing, Toxic Spikes might be really good into this particular matchup just due to how much he likes to switch. But, again, Adrian didn't make it to top 2 by being a predictable player. He might be able to change the way he's been doing things, avoid falling prey to that strategy if the Jonathan had to go for it.
Yeah, that is one idea about how to take down Adrian's team. You have the Weezing that can do a lot with its neutralizing gas. It can really shut down so many of Adrian's Pokemon, between shutting down potential Psychic Surges from the Indeedee or Drought from Torkoal, and also making it harder for Urshifu, the Single Strike, to be able to do any attacks without its Unseen Fist ability.
And that's a great point you mentioned, yeah, is again, Weezing being able to neutralize Indeedee's Psychic Terrain, is that Iron Hands will still be able to click Fake Out with impunity without having to worry about that potential switch-in that we've been watching so many times. Another thing to mention, though, is that Calyrex Shadow Rider does not have a great matchup here. There are 2 normal types on the team, as well as Urshifu Single Strike, a dark type that's immune to Psychic and resistant to Astral Blast.
Calyrex Shadow Rider is going to have a pretty tough matchup into this final battle here, but Jonathan, he's not one to just cut it short. He knows he's done this matchup before plenty of times, no doubt in fact. He knows how he can beat these teams and claim the gold for today's event.
One thing, we might finally get to see that Shadow Rider click Encore now that we have a lot more defensive Pokemon in the enemy team and a lot more status moves might finally see that Encore come out. As we were mentioning, it can't always just click Astral Barrage, so Encore might be something interesting that might come up today.
It's going to be also pretty challenging too, because I'm noticing that the Weezing does carry Taunt, which can also shut down a lot of Jonathan or Adrian's other Pokemon. May not even be able to set up the Trick Room at all, or just making Smeargle utterly useless if it can adjust. Because even the Weezing, noticing, has Terra Grass, so it can be immune to the spores too.
And as we mentioned once or twice before, this Calyrex Ice Rider does not have high horsepower, instead carrying close combat, which is going to make it a little bit harder for it to deal with that Weezing.
Now, Weezing has very good coverage into Adrian's team. We're going to have to see if Adrian can figure out how to adjust into it in this final match here today. But even then, Jonathan still has the Roaring Moon, which can do big damage into a lot of Adrian's Pokemon between both Calyrex Ice Rider, the Indeedee, and even just being able to knock off items from whoever. You can knock off the Choice Specs from Torkoal, and also doing damage. It's not going to be doing super powerful eruptions at that point.
Exactly, that Roaring Moon's Dragon typing and that Iron Hand with that Terra Water and that Assault Vest are going to get really well into the Torkoal. We're just going to jump straight in round one here. We can see Adrian is leading with that Smeargle and that Calyrex Ice Rider, a devastating combo so many times. Jonathan is going to go with the Weezing. He's going to go with the Weezing and the Iron Hands. That is going to prevent, what is Smeargle's ability? Smeargle's ability is Technician. That's going to lower the power of Fake Out. Overall, not a huge, but every little bit counts. We've seen a number of people surviving on extremely low HP so far, so that might make a difference. Iron Hands is going to lose its Quark Drive, but that wasn't going to activate anyways.
Fake Out into the Smeargle right now. Gonna Fake Out again into Smeargle. And, oh, that's right. The Cobra Cloak from Jonathan is going to be able to not flinch, and then it can go for Taunt into Smeargle. And now Smeargle, it basically can't do any attacks. It is either forced to struggle or switch out in the next turn.
Well, I don't even know if it would struggle. It would just go for a Fake Out and then fail.
Oh, that's right. It can't even do that either.
It cannot do anything. It can do 0 damage, but we do see, again, as Adrian has done so many times, he does not bother clicking Trick Room. He does not need speed advantage. He just goes for a massive Glacial Lance that does a little over half to that Weezing and doesn't do terribly much to the Iron Hands, but still does enough that it doesn't want to take another one.
I think still, at this point, the Smeargle being forced to switch out can put Iron Hands in position where it can just freely do some damage to whatever Adrian decides to bring in right now, which will be the Indeedee. No Psychic Terrain, though, while this Weezing is still around, but it's going to go for the Taunt into the Calyrex Ice Rider right now. Not setting up any Trick Rooms anytime soon. Low Kick into the Indeedee female. It does about 40%, but a Glacial Lance is just going to come in anyways and knock out this Weezing and leave Iron Hands with just a few HP left.
Yeah, that Taunt is very useful for preventing Trick Room from going up, allowing that Calyrex, preventing that Calyrex getting the speed advantage. But again, now it just has +1, and Jonathan is down a Pokemon. He sets up the Psychic Terrain and gets the Psychic Seed proc, increasing its special defense. Something we were mentioning is, again, there are a lot of normal types on a team, which is not good for Calyrex, but is very good for that Iron Hands. See Single Strike coming out. We'll have to see how much damage that can do that Calyrex Ice Rider. This is, again, the safety goggles is not threatened by Smeargle's Spore.
Not threatened by Smeargle's Spore, but it is going to be very vulnerable to any potential psychic attacks from that Urshifu right now. See, Adrian's thinking he still has his Indeedee left to set up Trick Room. Does he need it at this moment? Or he might opt to go for a different approach into this Jonathan's Pokemon right now.
You know, Adrian does love just going for that damage. And given how bulky Calyrex Ice Rider is and the fact that it is still at full health, I believe, it is not going to take a whole lot. I don't believe that an Low Kick and Strikes will kill, but maybe that Terra Water Surging Strikes would do enough to prevent that Calyrex Ice Rider from snowballing any further. This would be the first time we've actually seen someone able to shut down that Calyrex Ice Rider today on.
Looks like single strike, or the rapid strike, the surging strikes attack is going to do a little more than 50% into this Calyrex Ice Rider right now. Pretty good damage, if I do say. And the Psychic, boosted by Psychic Terrain, going into Jonathan's Urshifu does get the special defense drop, and it also is possibly in range for another big attack, and it is on such low HP left.
You can see that low kick plus Terra Water Surging Strikes is still just not going to do enough to stop that Calyrex Ice Rider without a Follow Me, and even without the super effective hit from Indeedee. You're still going to see Jonathan's Iron Hands go down to that Glacial Lance. We're going to see it is now a plus Calyrex Ice Rider, and that Indeedee with that Follow Me is going to make it really difficult for Jonathan to get Calyrex off the field first play.
Interesting to see right now. Jonathan bringing in the Ogre Pawn means that he did not bring his Calyrex Shadow Rider into this matchup. You probably saw, yeah, it was not very good with so many normal types not being a very optimal for a Ghost type Pokemon to be able to attack. But we have the Indeedee now going for the Terrestrialization into a Dragon type, which means it's going to be able to take any hits from this the Urshifu Rapid Strike, regardless of how much power it has out of those Surging Strikes attacks.
And is going to be resisting all of Ogre Pawn's moves, those being Fire and Dragon type, and is going to be resisting that Terra Water Surging Strikes. So the close combat would still probably take it out, and we're going to see the Ivy Cudgel and the Terra Water Surging Strikes are going to go into the Indeedee. Will it be enough to KO?
No.
It will not be enough to KO. That Terra Dragon Indeedee is going to survive on 2 HP, allowing it to survive and allowing Calyrex to go for one more devastating +2 Glacial Lance to finish this game 1 definitively.
Glacial Lance did knock out both of Jonathan's Pokemon. I believe that's it for this round 1. Jonathan has no Pokemon left, but we will see if he can make any adjustments into game 2. Based on what we've seen so far, it seems like it's still, even taunting Adrian's Pokemon is not enough to really slow him down, because he's anticipating that and just believes, I'll just go for big attack damages. That's all I need to do at this point, just to get ahead in the game.
Exactly. That Calyrex Shadow Rider we did not see it, but it probably would not have done that much, because again, that Indeedee would not have been, or would have just been immune to it and could have just set up a Trick Room, and that Smeargle would have just been able to Spore for free. But something to note is, again, that Indeedee and that Calyrex just refused to go down. They both just kept taking these devastating Terra Water Surging Strikes and surviving just barely. The issue is there's just not enough damage on Jonathan's team to break through the extreme bulk of this special defense boosted Terra Dragon Indeedee and this Calyrex Ice Rider.
Jonathan's going to have to find a really good matchup into this game 2 if he wants to try to get ahead. It's going to be very difficult, but I do believe he might be able to come up with something. It's going to be very hard, but he has a lot of different tools at his disposal. If he can't taunt and need Adrian's Pokemon because he's just going to go for attacks, might as well play into that. But we're going to see, looks like the same leads as game 1.
Anyone can make the adaptations necessary to come out on top in game 2. It's Jonathan. But will he? Will there be enough? One thing is, last game we did see Adrian click that fake out into that Weezing, which had the Covert Cloak, preventing it from actually flinching fake out. Smeargle this game is likely not going to make that same mistake twice, and going to go for something a little more immediately threatening into Pokemon, likely either a Decorate to make sure that the Calyrex gets off as much damage as it wants, or a Spore to shut down one of the big threats on it. See you. There you go.
Fake out going into the Smeargle right now, flinching, and Jonathan is going straight for another taunt into the Smeargle again before it can do anything. But I'm going to guess, yep, a Glacial Lance, because that's all Adrian needs to do in this matchup right now. It does over 50% to the Calyrex Ice Rider. right now. So Jonathan's gonna have to figure out different game plan for that because, let's be frank, that Weezing is not gonna be able to survive another hit at this rate.
Yeah, we see we're in basically the same board state as we were last time. We've got that Calyrex Ice Rider at full HP. We've got that Iron Hands at about thirds. We've got that thing a little under half, and we've got that Smeargle that cannot do anything other than fail a fake out. Smeargle once again switches out. Are we going to see Indeedee come back in just like last time? No.
The Urshifu single strike is coming out right now, but we're also seeing a switch out from Jonathan's Weezing. Going to keep that in the back for later. Activate or remove the neutralizing gas. We're going to see Jonathan's own Urshifu, but the Rapid Strike variant this time. We're going to see Glacial Lance does still do a lot of damage into the Iron Hands, and Iron Hands can retaliate with a low kick, do about 50%, maybe a little less than 50%, but still a lot of damage, and I think even from there, Jonathan might be able to adapt and possibly go for a very strong attack in the following turn.
An interesting thing to note here is, again, Jonathan can't go for that Terra Water on that Urshifu, because we've all seen how much damage that does, but that would leave it no longer resisting the Choice Band, Wicked Blows, and Sucker Punches coming from Single Strike. That ability to threaten with that priority or with those super-powered attacks is really going to prevent that Urshifu Rapid Strike from going for the Terra Water Surging Strike might otherwise be want to.
Iron Hands switching out right now. We're going to go back. I believe that was the Weezing from earlier. Going to set up the neutralizing gas again. And we're going to eliminate all the abilities. Jonathan going for a Protect, which is interesting optimization right there, because that means that Adrian's Urshifu Single Strike will not be able to attack any protecting Pokemon. But it doesn't matter anyways, because we have the Sucker Punch, which is just going to fail regardless. And then a Glacial Lance again going into just the Weezing, and it lives at just a couple of HP left.
It's crazy. What a low roll that must have been for it to survive. But that is going to put Weezing in a very good position, for Jonathan in a very good position, now that he still has that Pokemon alive, and Calyrex Ice Rider has not gotten the attack boost that it would have if it had picked up that KO.
Jonathan has a potential position to really turn this game around and score a couple of knockouts if he can. No of the terrestrialization. He's just going to go straight for Surging Strikes into the Calyrex Ice Rider, do as much damage as he can at this current amount of HP right now. You see, does not knock it out.
Will the Weezing finish off the Calyrex? No, it is going to go for a Toxic Spike. So it's going to make sure that the rest of the game goes a lot smoother as long as Jonathan can finish off that Weezing. And we see a Glacial Lance come out, not going to KO the Urshifu, gonna KO that Weezing. It's gonna get that attack boost.
One attack boost from Calyrex Ice Rider right now could mean a lot for the rest of this battle right now. Adrian might not. He might switch out his Calyrex, but he might not. Just keep it in, do as much damage as he possibly can. But Iron Hands is coming in. That fake out is very dangerous right now. But I think Adrian he still has Indeedee in the back just to set up Psychic Terrain. With Weezing out of the picture, he can just freely set up the Psychic Terrain and be able to block out any fake outs coming from the Iron Hands.
But even if he does block a fake out, he's still going to have no choice but to take a Surging Strikes even through Protect.
That is a good point right there. The Urshifu from Jonathan's side can still do a free attack if Adrian chooses to switch out his own Urshifu. Which also, when you think about, that means he can't do any late game Sucker Punches either with this Psychic Terrain being set back up.
And we can see the Indeedee is going to get poisoned by the Toxic Spikes. As we were mentioning, Adrian is a very talented player. There's a lot of positioning with most of his Pokemon. DIR just kind of sits there. The rest of his Pokemon positioned very carefully throughout the game. That is going to mean that they are mostly just all going to get toxic or poisoned by the end of this. The Surging Strikes does come out. He is going to get rid of that Calyrex Ice Rider, which is going to make the rest of the game so much easier for Jonathan.
Jonathan being able to have the upper hand at this very moment right now. But I don't believe Adrian has gone for his terrestrialization again. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw another Terra Dragon come out of that DD again, because with it being able to resist so many attacks, as we saw in Game 1.
Excellent point. And there is still that Urshifu single strike coming out now. It cannot click Sucker Punch, as you pointed out. He has prevented himself by sending that Indeedee out, but both of his opponents are at low HP, also cannot go for any priority move. So it is going to be interesting to see whether or not these Pokemon are able to outspeed or survive these wicked blows, whether or not this Urshifu single strike is going to simply run over the rest of Jonathan's.
I believe we have Adrian right now. He is opting to go for the Terra Dragon on his Indeedee. He can go for a lot of fake out, or not fake out, the follow me, just put a lot of pressure because, as we've seen before, Jonathan's Pokemon are not able to do a lot of damage into this Indeedee, and while Adrian's single strike Urshifu is able to just knock out Pokemon as it freely chooses to. But ooh, we have a adjustment.
There is no follow me from the Indeedee. Instead, we are going to see the Urshifu Rapid Strike on Jonathan's team outspeed the Urshifu Single Strike and OHKO it with that close combat.
Close combat knocking out the Urshifu Single Strike, but Indeedee trading off by going for a Psychic into Jonathan's Iron Hands. This means at this point in the game, Indeedee is Adrian's last attacking Pokemon with Smeargle in the back. It can't do any attacking moves. It can't even do a fake out at this point. It can only do spores or redirection or what was it? Or decorating the Indeedee if it so chooses to.
Yeah, and we can see Jonathan actually did bring his Calyrex Shadow Rider this time, which is going to be interesting. And remember, this Urshifu Rapid Strike does have safety goggles, meaning it is completely immune to anything Smeargle wants to click into, whereas the Calyrex is still vulnerable to a Spore if Smeargle does decide to go into it. Which it is not going to let happen at all. Another no follow me from the Indeedee.
Alex Shadow Rider knocking out the Smeargle is a good play, and then we see the Urshifu Rapid Strike going in, does a big close combat amount of damage. I believe even at this point, you know, the Rapid Strike Urshifu is knocked out, but Jonathan is just in such a good position right now. He doesn't need his ghost moves. He still has the Calyrex Shadow Rider to go for Psychic.
Seems like all Jonathan needs to do this turn is click Protect, and that poison is going to whittle down Indeedee, but that is not going to happen. Adrian is just going to give up. We are on to Game 3, an extremely tense finals after an extremely interesting match.
It's amazing to see how Jonathan would be able to keep his Calyrex Shadow Rider positioned in the back for so long in this match, not having to worry about the two normal types that Adrian brings to every battle that he's been in with so far.
Exactly. Despite the fact that Adrian had two normal types and a dark type, that Calyrex Shadow Rider still was able to hang on in the back and come out at the last moment. And can we just talk about how impressive that play was, where he switched in that Wheezing for the neutralizing gas so he could protect his Urshifu from the single strike Urshifu. What an astounding play. That is the kind of thing that you come to these events to see.
I love seeing creative plays like that. The Wheezing can do so much into these battles right now, just being able to eliminate your opponent's abilities. While you also have to be careful with that. As much as it's great having Wheezing around, you know, you have to make sure that you're eliminating only your opponent's abilities while keeping the abilities that you know, the Pokemon you want around. What was it? And, you know what I mean.
And Adrian or Jonathan did that exceptionally this match, making sure that his own Unseen Fist was always active when he needed it, but preventing Adrian's Unseen Fist from KOing a vulnerable Urshifu, allowing it in the end to outspeed and OHKO Adrian's Urshifu. Now, was it a speed tie, or is Adrian's Urshifu slower because it's on a Trick Room team? We may never know, but it was a huge turning point in the game for that. Again, that super powerful dark type could have very easily swept through the rest of this team, with it being two red HP Pokemon and also Calyrex Shadow Rider, but that speed advantage, they're not going to let that happen.
All right, we're into our final game for this finals here today, and we see the same leads that we saw earlier in both of our previous rounds.
If there's one thing we've learned, it's same leads do not mean same game plans. We saw the same leads game 1 and game 2, but totally different Pokemon in the back and totally different strategies for both players. Changed the game tremendously.
I wouldn't put it past me if both these trainers have just thought of really different ideas. We have, it's going to be very quick planning from Adrian's side. He knows exactly what he wants to do into this matchup right here. Looks like he's just ready to just dish out some quick damage just right now.
Adrian, it's interesting that Adrian keeps leading with the Smeargle because, well, yes, it does force the Weezing to go for a taunt turn 1 and allow it to take a lot of damage from Glacial Lance, or allow Calyrex to set up a Trick Room. It does, again, force that Smeargle in and then force that Smeargle out very quickly every game.
Speed advantage that Smeargle does have against Iron Hands means that its Fake Out will go first. Iron Hands not able to do anything. Taunt coming from the Weezing into Smeargle. Now it can't do anything except for more Fake Outs with no damage. A free Glacial Lance into both of Jonathan's Pokemon. They are going to take a lot of damage. A little bit.
Yeah, interestingly, we see this time it was not able to do over half to that Weezing. It seems like there is a very large range of damage it can do. We've seen it do over half twice, and we've seen it do considerably under half once or twice now. Wow.
Didi coming in right now already. Jonathan going for the Toxic Spikes. He wants to make sure that he can get statuses on Adrian's Pokemon if they choose to keep switching out like that. Drain Punch coming from the Iron Hands into the Indeedee. Does a good amount of damage to get some HP back and possibly be able to take more Glacial Lances throughout this battle.
We can see that the Weezing does in fact manage to survive a second Glacial Lance, putting it in a decent position. The Indeedee is going to come out. You're going to see that Psychic Terrain go up, increasing the power of its Psychic moves, but also increasing the power of Calyrex Shadow Rider's Psychic. Question is, what does Adrian go for here? Both of his Pokemon have Trick Room, also has Follow Me, and the Weezing does, of course, have that Poison Gas if he wants to put both Pokemon on a... The Weezing does not have Poison Gas, so it cannot put both Pokemon on a timer. My apologies.
But even then, Adrian has been known to switch out his Pokemon a lot, so that kind of positioning, we have a Protect from the Weezing. Let's try to stick around a little longer. Might be able to try to get some extra damage if it can. Psychic from the Indeedee gonna knock out the Iron Hands from that range, and then we're gonna see Calyrex Ice Rider. It's just gonna set up a Trick Room now so freely, and then it's gonna put Adrian at such a big advantage throughout the rest of this battle.
Interestingly, this is the first time we have actually seen that Trick Room go up this set, I believe, no?
Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, that is the first time.
Despite all the Trick Rooms on Adrian's team, this is the first time he's actually bothered setting it up, instead preferring to go for those devastating Psychics and Glacial Lances up until this point. The good thing about Indeedee KOing the Iron Hands instead of Calyrex is that Calyrex does not get that attack boost from killing Nay, so it is still in a very scary position now that Trick Room is up.
Trick Room is up, and Adrian has the big advantage right now with Calyrex Ice Rider being the fastest Pokemon on the field now. Going to be able to do some big damage right now. It's going to be very tricky for Jonathan to really adapt to this right with his Weezing and his Urshifu. I wouldn't put it past me that a Glacial Lance will be able to do not only knock out the Weezing, but being able to do some major damage to that Urshifu while also following up with maybe a Psychic attack. But we are going to see a Terrestrialization from Jonathan's Urshifu. Try to do as much damage as it possibly can into that Calyrex Ice Rider or the Weezing itself. Jonathan going for a double Protect, fails, and then we have Glacial Lance coming out from the Urshifu, or the Calyrex Ice Rider, gonna knock out the Weezing and do some damage. Then we have Didi gonna be able to follow up with maybe its own attack.
Now, an important thing is Jonathan has terrestrialized into a water type with his Urshifu. That means it is no longer weak to Indeedee's Psychic attacks. Though a Psychic Terrain boosted Psychic could still do a lot of damage to this Urshifu, and we are going to see it is going to come out. It is going to do a good chunk of damage, but Urshifu will survive and get off that Terra Water Surging Strikes onto the Calyrex Ice Rider, doing only about half.
It's going to be a very difficult adaptation for Jonathan at this late in the game with the Trick Room setup and his Urshifu Rapid Strike at such low HP. All Jonathan has left is his Calyrex Auto Rider, and going to be able to try to do what he can to finish off this game, but it's going to be a very uphill battle from here.
This Shadow Rider is in an okay position since the Calyrex Ice Rider is only at +1. Calyrex Shadow Rider will survive with its Focus Sash, but a double up from Indeedee could spell disaster, but instead, Jonathan is just going to go for the double protect, going to try and stall out as much of that Trick Room and the turns of Psychic Terrain as he can. If he can get out of Trick Room, stands a very real chance of clutching this game, but under Trick Room, you're in Calyrex Ice Rider's world now, buddy. You better pay homage to the king.
Honestly, from what it seems like right now, Calyrex Shadow Rider might be able to take a hit. It can probably go for an Astral Barrage. Won't be able to hit the Indeedee, but he can still do some damage, potentially even knock out the Calyrex Ice Rider from the current range that it's in. But Jonathan, he's just going to keep going for Protect, try to stall out as many Trick Room turns as he can to try to get into a better position.
You can see the Urshifu does manage to get the double Protect, but the Calyrex Ice Rider does not. Glacial Lance bring it down to its Focus Sash. And Indeedee, if it goes for a Psychic, is going to finish it off, and it does. It's going to be the end of Jonathan's Restricted, and then it's going to leave, I believe, just the Urshifu, right? Iron Hands has gone down.
Iron Hands has gone down, Weezing's gone down, Calyrex has gone down. This is Jonathan's last Pokemon. If he can possibly get more Protects off and then finish, no, we are just going to finish it off for today.
After one final tense battle with one Trick Room that in our first Trick Room of the set, we're going to see Adrian Heredia be our champion for today at the March 30th Oveido Mall VGC Challenge here. And a very well-deserved victory. An absolutely terrifying team with all of those normal types and that Calyrex Ice Rider proving to be absolutely devastating. Exceptional plays on both sides. The adaptation from Jonathan and those super creative plays with that Weezing were absolutely marvelous to watch. But in the end, Adrian is going to take it.
I gotta say, congrats to Adrian. That was a very well-played battle right there. He was able to get off the Trick Room in the final game, be able to in a great position to do as much damage as he could at that point. Being able to throw out Glacial Lances left and right, Psychic Terrain to block off any Aqua Jets, and being able to really secure this final match.
And there is maybe some extent of conditioning in there. Again, Calyrex Ice Rider did not click Trick Room. Indeed, he did not click Trick Room, and it barely clicked Follow Me. I'll tell you, when I see a Calyrex Ice Rider and Indeedee in front of me, I know one's clicking Follow Me and the other's clicking Trick Room. But Adrian refused to go with that tried and true route, instead constantly mixing it up, going straight for the offensive pressure with those Glacial Lances, using those powerful Psychic Terrain boosted Psychics, and overall going far more offensive and far less predictably, allowing that Trick Room in Game 3 to come as a bit of a surprise, maybe.
I think also with Game 3, you really just got to think about how he was in such a good position to really be able to just really go for the Trick Room at that point. I mean, granted, that same turn, the Weezing did go for a Protect. He could have gone for Taunt, but still, he was able to really pull it off to set up that Trick Room.
Absolutely. Again, and congratulations one more time to Adrian. He's going to get those 15 championship points. He's going to move up in the Florida, or I don't know if he's going to move up a place, but he's going to continue down that path to making it into the Florida top 10. And again, a very impressive performance, a very well-deserved win. We can see Calyrex Ice Rider truly is Florida's Pokemon. Not with the Pelipper this time, but with the Torkoal, but still a very impressive performance with a very creative team. And I am just glad we were here to cast it.
That was such an amazing match from not even just these two players, but all of our players that we've seen today. there were so many great battles that we got to watch. Adrian in our first place, Jonathan second place. Ryan played very well today. I was so excited to see how he was playing with, especially that Urshifu Rapid Strike with the Terra Ward, the Mystic Ward, just dishing out so much damage. Congrats to him on third place. Hayden Owens, I love your team, man. Congrats to you on fourth place.
We got Landon Morjal here in fifth place. We've got Matthew in sixth place. We've got Raymond in seventh, and we've got Anthony in eighth. Again, amazing plays from all these players. Such creative teams, and we can see we've actually got a decent spread of restricted Pokemon up here in the top 8. We've got those Ice Riders and those Shadow Riders, sure. We've also got some Zacians. We've got, looks like some Zamazentas. We've got that Terapagos. Despite how legendaries there were here today overall, we still got a pretty diverse spread here in our top 8.
I just love watching so many different restricted mons being used throughout these battles right now. It shows how much potential each player has bringing their own creative team. We've seen it not even just locals or regionals, whatnot. It just, there's so much creativity because every one of these players has potential to go for the gold here.
Exactly. Each of these Calyrex Ice Riders was a totally different team. We had one with Pelipper, one with Torkoal, and then one with just a lot of powerful offensive pieces.
All right, but I think at that point we are ready to sign off for today. Thank you all very much for watching. In a couple of weeks we have the Atlanta Regionals coming up, and that will be a great thing to see. I hope you all check that out, and hopefully we can get some of our Florida players up on stream and make it to the finals and go for the gold.
I expect great things from them. Go ahead and play us out, Samuel.
All right.
I just hope someone